me and Genesis did something pretty interesting over this past weekend. We did archery. Yay! It was really fun, and it's something that we've like talked about before, where I don't know, the conversation was like, you know what's something I've always wanted to do? Archery. And then Genesis was like, yeah. I do. Yeah, let's like yeah, like people look badass doing archery. It's also something I've been wanting to do. And so we just decided like over the course of a week that we're going to do it. And luckily it was very accessible to us.
Yeah.
But it was so freaking worth it. It was so fun. Did you have fun?
Yes. And we went with Gabby. Shout out Gabby.
Yeah, we went with Gabby. It was really fun. And I mean, we're going to go next week too, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, the group we went with, they kind of like provided like bows for us.
Provided everything.
Yeah,
like
they
the arm guards,
actually provided everything. Yeah, exactly. The arm guards that were so helpful.
What are these were called?
The finger, I don't know. I want to say like the grips.
Something like that.
I don't know. But yeah, it goes on your finger and then it like grips the string. And we just looked so cool doing it. Although they didn't give us that like chest like band thing that everyone was wearing.
Oh yeah, true.
I wanted one.
We're not that elite.
I know.
We're not that pro yet.
I know, but I really wanted one because everyone looked so cool. I wanted
like a arrow holder.
I know. Because we were beginners and they wanted us like so like focused on like shooting the bow correctly for like safety reasons and our form as well. Yeah, they made us put our arrows like kind of like into a hole in the ground. So that I don't know. I guess we can't hurt anyone. But then everyone else got quivers because they're not noobs like we were.
That's okay.
Yeah, next time. But yeah, it's something that I really liked, and I definitely will do in the future. And it might become a new hobby of mine.
Why'd you like it?
Well, like I said earlier, I have been like kind of thinking about it for a while. I took like a week-long like archery course in middle school.
Wow.
Retained none of that information though. So it was basically like I was starting new.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, watching the Olympics and watching like archery,
I love the Olympics.
It made it look so cool. And it made me think of my middle school archery days. And I remember like being relatively good at it, but also just enjoying it so much. And it sparked the question of like, why didn't I like continue doing this? And that's something I have to, I don't know, think about more myself. But so yeah, it was a pretty like therapeutic experience too. I tend to like the slower sports that kind of encourage you to like think and take your time. Not like football or like basketball. Not the really active ones where, I mean, you don't really like have to think all that much.
Yeah.
You kind of just go. You go.
It's like you think, but you think in a really fast pace.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you have to be quick on your feet.
Yeah, I don't like fast pace. Actually, that goes for a lot of things. That goes for video games as well.
Oh, true.
I don't like fast paced video games. I will never prefer Call of Duty over Valorant because Valorant is more slower. I have more time to think and strategize.
That's true.
And I will always prefer Bed Wars over Sky Wars in Minecraft because it's much slower. And honestly, like if you do good, then I feel like the payoff is higher because you spend more time doing it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a therapeutic experience for me. And I also felt so freaking badass doing it. What about you? Why did you like it?
I was literally while you were thinking, I was like, what made me interested in archery? I think I've always just had an interest in it, but I think it was also mostly growing up seeing like different characters with like bow and arrows, like Tomb Raider, if you play with a bow and arrow.
Oh my god, Ellie from what is it called?
The Last of Us?
The Last of Us too?
Yeah.
I was watching clips of it on TikTok earlier. Oh my gosh.
Horizon Zero Dawn. I love that game. And the bow and arrow is it's so fun. But yeah, I liked it.
Is there anything you didn't really like about it?
It's not that I didn't like it. I think that entire experience was pushing me out of my comfort zone because I was really anxious the entire time because it was like
It's
something
new.
it was something new, something I hadn't tried with people I didn't know in a location I didn't know. So that was
Yeah.
like way too many new things.
Yeah.
And I was freaking out, but I pushed myself to kind of just like get through it and enjoy it, and I did. So it was fun. And I got bruised.
That was hilarious. Yeah, we had arm guards, but they didn't seem to work
They
on
did
you.
not.
Why
They
is that?
didn't block my double jointed arm.
So like, yeah, like I mean, yeah, when you shoot the bow, like your arm's like straight, right? But like,
Mine's just
wait, can you like
twisted.
show the camera really quick for the YouTubers?
Can you see that?
It's so bruised. But yeah, your elbow kind of like caves in a little bit.
Yeah, it's because it like my
Oh
elbow.
my gosh, it looks so bad now.
Stop.
Wait, you showed me like
Literally-
2 hours ago, and I
literally
feel
2
like it got
hours.
worse since then.
Yeah, because when I
Oh
hold it
my-
out forward, like my elbow is like pointing in instead of pointing down.
And so like, oh my gosh, the bow, like the
Yeah.
bowstring just
Just would
shanked
graze
you.
me like every time, every time I shot.
Oh my gosh.
But it was fun nonetheless. So
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I guess the topic that we kind of wanted to talk to you guys about today was why starting new hobbies is like really good.
yes.
Because it is. We enjoy ourselves, and especially in a time where it's just hustle and bustle with school and work and our extracurricular activities, even
yeah.
like if you do them for long enough, I feel like they can even become kind of redundant
Yeah.
and mundane
Yeah.
and just not fulfill you the same as they did when they were new.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, starting a new hobby for me, it was really helpful to kind of break my pattern of like my weekly pattern of just every single day waking up, going to school, doing work, doing homework, and always stressing about having my homework done by the due date and then having to go to dance. I feel like after doing dance for this is my 6th year now doing something like dance related, it becomes so like mundane, and it honestly kind of starts to feel somewhat like a job. It really break dance. Break it down. It broke my everyday pattern of the same thing over and over and over again. So yeah, trying something new. I mean, maybe eventually with archery, it might also end up being like that. But you know what? Right now, it makes me happy. And that's important, is making yourself happy, especially in the moment.
Well, for me, it's like breaking out of your comfort zone. Like I mentioned, like I was anxious the entire time, and I very easily could have just been. I could have just said,
At
no,
home.
I don't want to go. Yeah, I could have, or even when I was there, I could have just sat down or sat out of it, or I don't know, like left if I wanted to, but I forced myself to stay there. And not because I wasn't enjoying it. It's just that the anxiety takes over at some point for me. So I think just doing new stuff is breaking me out of my comfort zone. Also because of tying it into yours is like breaking the pattern. I'm a person that is very much I need it's weird. I need a pattern, but also at the same time it can become tiresome.
Mm-hmm.
But when stuff gets moved around or the pattern just changes, I start freaking out too. So I'm like, I don't know.
It's a combination of everything.
Yeah, so it's just breaking out of those habits of anxiety, and that's holding me back from trying stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I bet a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people are probably like really, I don't know, I guess confined. And like, yeah, trying new things, it's really like anxiety inducing. But would you say that the payoff was positive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so, because
it was worth kind of the trouble and the negative feelings.
It was just like, it was doing something that I've always wanted to do for a long time. And also just talking to people that I've never talked to before.
Yeah.
So
One last thing I wanted to bring up is that, I mean, starting new things, you learn new things. And, you know, even if you have a hobby that you wanted to do for a while and you start it and you decide it's not for you, at least you learn something about yourself. I've been so, like, I've been thinking about my language so much since the last podcast. Oh, did I just say like? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
I've been very aware, but that doesn't mean I have like that doesn't mean I've been I just said like. That doesn't mean I've been like kind of fixing my
Say it again.
What? Oh my gosh, it's so natural. You know what? Let's just move on. Let's forget about it. You know, it gets me interested. What are some like past hobbies that you've had besides archery, like we've explained?
that I've wanted to do?
Yeah, that you've wanted to do.
For me, it's always been ballet and ice skating, which is kind of intertwined because I think ice skaters have to learn ballet.
Yeah, definitely. Like flexibility and probably, I'm sure, technique.
They're doing a lot of like spinning and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know why I would never be able to do like ballet or ice skating? Because they turn a lot. And I get like dizzy and motion sick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's like they teach you to have a point of focus when you're turning. It's just hard to do it.
But like ice skaters do it so quickly, you know?
They do.
Like how do they really
I think they do that, but they just...
You said doo-doo.
Shut up. But I think they have to do it so quickly that you don't even notice. We can check. The Olympics posts like you know how they post the like slow motion of them turning.
Yeah,
They
we should
might
look at
not
that.
have like a point of turning since it's, or a point of like a fixed point to look at since they're going so fast. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, we'll look at that on our own time, and then you know what? We'll let you guys know.
Yeah, but ballet and ice skating has definitely been something I've been wanting to do since I was little, especially since I watched Barbie movies. If you've seen Barbie, Magic Pegasus, and the Nutcracker, she does ballet in those two, I think. And the Swan Lake, I think she also wears point shoes. But those specific movies, I've always been obsessed with the Nutcracker. I want to watch the ballet in person. That's one of my goals.
Oh yeah, I bet it's so cool.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, I just never was able to do it just in terms of finances growing up.
Absolutely.
And also ice skating, because where we live, there's where am I gonna go?
Nothing cold.
Where am I gonna go?
Yeah.
It's gonna melt.
There's even ice skating in Chicago, like during the summer.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh,
but then
nice.
in the winter, it's like outside.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
like,
really nice. Yeah,
there's none of that here. That's like ice skating was already kind of not. It was off the table, but ballet, it's just expenses because you invest a lot of money.
Oh my gosh, shoes! Why are ballet shoes why are they so expensive?
They're so expensive. They're like $100, and people go through multiple pairs a month or a week.
A week?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
But it's so impressive.
It is. It's very impressive. I mean, the good thing is I do want to do like adult beginner ballet classes sometime because you can. So I will.
You can do it here.
Yeah. So
even.
I will.
I almost did.
I almost did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what if we were in the same class like before we like became friends? That would have been so funny.
That would have been so funny. But yeah, the good thing is that as you start as a beginner, you have to work your way up to point shoes so you don't make too many expenses, but also classes are so expensive.
Yeah.
But yes. Also, like, usually with ballet, you start in like a really young age. And I think having started dancing at a young age would have probably really burnt me out to where I am now. I don't know. I think it would have changed a lot. Just not a bad thing.
Absolutely. I mean, it also would have changed the people you hung out with as well.
Yes.
A lot of the opportunities that you have, I'm sure.
My dance style right now would be completely different too.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of ballet dancers that go into more like hip hop.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to break out of the like
yeah.
How do I not like the preciseness of the ballet moves.
Yeah.
What are your hobbies that you've wanted to do but haven't done?
Okay. So Some hobbies that I have done,
Okay.
like literally was not the question whatsoever, but I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
Is reading. I like reading over the summer, but unfortunately, I kind of stopped reading a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know what? I did revisit my book yesterday,
Okay.
and I actually made it like 50 pages in, and
That's good.
yeah, it was really good, and I like reading. We'll get into kind of why I don't read anymore in a minute. What is a hobby that well, first of all, archery, but that kind of was for both of us.
Yeah.
It's something I've kind of always wanted to do. I don't know why I waited so long to do it. One thing I want to do is volleyball.
Oh my God.
Because what? Volleyball is so cool.
Volleyball.
No, oh yeah, I forgot we were talking about this the other day. Yeah. So yeah, Genesis is apparently a volleyball god.
No. I used to be in a volleyball team.
Yeah, my brother used to be in a volleyball team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never done volleyball, but it always looks so cool, and I always get a lot of videos on my Instagram about it. And it looks so freaking cool. But what has stopped me from doing it is that I have no one to play with.
Well, that's why we're gonna be at the park soon.
I know, yeah.
Because now you have me
there's like
to play
volleyball
with.
courts here, yeah. I just wanna learn how to I don't know, like
serve. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you're like boom.
Yes.
I don't know. I really want to learn how to do volleyball.
It's so fun.
There's a lot of like active things that I kind of want to get into.
Oh, like I mentioned like tennis. Oh, and golf. Like that's stuff that I want to try.
Yeah.
Because I've never done it before.
I agree.
But it's not like
it's not something I would want to like pursue.
Well,
or
maybe.
anything.
I mean, I've never tried it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You never know.
Maybe you'll try it soon, and then you'll decide that you really like it.
Yeah, a little challengers moment where I snap my knee like Zendaya.
Oh, I actually, I haven't watched
I know,
yet. Yeah.
but you have to see
I
it.
forgot to bring this up earlier. I actually had no idea what you were talking about with the Barbie movies because I've never seen them.
Damn, you suck.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
just kidding.
I wanted to ask you what has prevented, like, what is the barrier between you and those hobbies that you want to try? I mean, we already discussed the ice skating one was kind of financial.
Well, so was the ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it was mostly because of finances for me. Because it was more prevalent when I was younger, and younger was when I was struggling a little more financially. So it wasn't something I would do. And then getting older, I feel like the ballet world always gives the impression that you have to start out young. Mm-hmm. And when you're like 20,
that's when you stop.
You're like too old, which is not true. It could be true, but it's like, that's the impression that I had gotten growing up. But I think a good thing to point out about the hobbies that we mentioned is that they're all still doable at our ages. Mm-hmm. And like, we kind of don't have an excuse to not do it now, you know? It's a good point to put into perspective that all of the hobbies that we've listed are things that we can still do. Yeah.
I mean, the sad reality of that is, unfortunately, a lot of people can't start new hobbies because of finances, kind of like you said.
That's still me, honestly.
No,
like,
for sure.
I know ballet is gonna cost a lot.
Yeah, and if we had to like buy our own bows for archery that we did over the weekend, I'm sure we wouldn't have even considered it. Yeah. So yeah, the sad truth of it is finances are kind of a big part in starting a lot of new hobbies, and it's sad. And another sad reality is there will become a point when you can't do certain hobbies. I'm sure when I'm 50 years old, I can't be shooting a bow because you have to use your back. Apparently, I was not using my back with archery, and I think that's why I was doing really bad until the end. And then I started doing like really good and getting like yellows. Yeah. By the way, the target was like 5 feet away. And I would say both of us combined maybe got like less than 10, maybe like less than 8. Yeah. Like shots in the gold area. Yeah. You know what? It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. We're resilient. It was our first day.
The fact that we got 1 in there is good enough.
Yeah. I got 1 in the 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Gold?
Yep.
Yeah, I did too. I feel like a good resource is a lot of community-based stuff. Like the Yeah, I guess it could depend where you live, but here it's the public library offers a lot of good free events and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's true.
Last time, during I think last winter, me and my friends went to a public library and they were having an event where you can make your own snowball. It's not snowball. Snow. What the fuck is that called?
Snowflake.
No.
Snow
globe.
Oh, that's cool. I was like,
Sorry, I was
snowball, you can go
I
outside.
make a snowball.
But also here in the desert.
I forgot what it was called. A snow globe. Yeah, they were having an event where you can make your own snow globe. And it was fun. It was not there wasn't that many people, but I mean that's a hobby in itself. And like here at school when we were signing in.
Oh, school is such a good resource.
Yeah, they were having an embroidery workshop. That's also a hobby you can start.
When it comes
to stuff like sports where you want to try it casually, kind of like your volleyball, you just find somebody to go do it with, and then like me.
Period.
And I mean, buying a volleyballs are pretty expensive nowadays, but I feel like once you make that one, I was gonna say one-time purchase, but sometimes they get flat, and you'd have to either buy a new one or get a pump. But still, you get the experience.
Nothing is like free these days.
I know.
Unless you want to like if you want to do it like alone, like nothing is free. Like, oh my gosh, crocheting, that shit is expensive.
It is expensive.
Yeah.
I think you have to find like good resources. Like Michael's, they sell like bundles of yarn for like $5, which isn't too bad. It's like it's still, for one, what if I'm trying to make something that's like 3 different colors? That's $15, I think. Yeah. But if I were trying to just make one like scarf, it's like one color. That's I could do it for $5.
But also if you want to like start a hobby like bad enough and finances are an issue, like I hate to say it, but you can kind of like budget for it and kind of save up for it. That's exactly what I did with this camera, actually. I've been wanting to like kind of start content creation for a while. And holy shit, this camera was expensive. Very expensive.
Yeah.
Why are cameras so expensive? And it has been something I've been saving up for a while because finances were an issue. And again, it's sad, but hobbies cost money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but if finances are really truly holding you back, you can always try a hobby that doesn't involve like investing too much.
Yeah.
Like drawing. Just you don't have to buy an expensive sketchbook. It can just be any notebook. Reading.
Yeah.
Again, your public library.
Period.
You don't really have to spend much. But yeah, things like that. Like using the resources that you already have or doing a hobby that you don't have to invest too much in is a good place to start.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. I also wanted to kind of go back to like reading and why I kind of stopped reading. And that's because honestly, like if you have a new hobby that you want to start, time is unfortunately so like limited. Like seriously, who the fuck invented 24 hours in a day? And then what? 7 to 10 hours of it is spent sleeping?
Yes.
Seriously, who invented that?
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah, and then with school, oh my gosh, why is time so short and limited? So yeah, I love reading, but in order to kind of fit everything else into my schedule, I had to sacrifice it.
Yeah, especially when you're already reading so much for school, you don't want to go read for at least for me. If I'm reading a lot for school, I don't want to go read for pleasure because it's like I'm already tired of reading.
That's not how it is with me.
That's for me.
I get it. I get it though. I do hate being forced to read because I just hated how reading. As soon as school started, I hated how reading made me feel. It felt like I was like wasting time almost.
Like reading for pleasure?
Yeah, reading for pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of sad because why don't I feel like I'm wasting time when I'm like going through reels? I mean, I do, but I do it anyway. Why don't I just read anyway?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about that soon. But anyways, we ask you guys questions every Wednesday about a certain topic that's going to be on our next podcast. And thank you guys for participating. Once again, they're every Wednesday, and you can answer our questions. But we're going to go through some of your guys' answers right now. The question was, what's preventing you from starting new hobbies? Somebody said, finding the time to continue my present hobbies. So this kind of goes into what I was just talking about, is that unfortunately, time is so freaking limited.
Yeah.
And whoever invented 24 hours in a day, fuck you.
Oh.
Because especially with school, with work, with other extracurriculars,
Your social life.
Me personally, like I'm taking a lot of freaking credits right now in school.
Yeah.
I also have the business to run.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to post consistent vlogs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to stream on Twitch.
Yeah,
so how the hell did I find time in my schedule to go shoot a bow for 2 hours straight? How? And again, you have to sacrifice your other hobbies. And it's really sad that time is so limited that you can't do everything that you want, especially because I feel like today the agenda is that you should do everything you can while you're in your prime, like while you're young and while you still can. And that can be like really stressful and exhausting to do literally everything within a 24-hour freaking period. And so, yeah, unfortunately, my advice is that you have to kind of pick and choose what you want. But also, you don't always have to focus on the present like everyone kind of ushers you to do and pushes you to do, because you have so much of your life to do those hobbies. You have your whole life to do the hobbies, especially if you're young.
I feel like there's a lot, it's the same thing. It's like there's a stigma when you're old, you can't do anything and you have to just wait until you die. And I think that's not true and it shouldn't be taught that way.
And that is a sad life past 30.
Yeah, it also just kind of discredits like the existence of older people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it's giving that point of view, or it's putting that stereotype that when you're older you can't do anything and you're boring. Like that's not true. There's a lot of older people who are starting new things, are going to school for the first time. There's a lot of people also that just let the age hold them back and be like, no, I'm too old for that. Like my parents are like that.
We're not gonna let that be us, right? We're not I'm gonna be shooting my bow when I'm 80.
Yeah, I'm gonna be starting new stuff when I'm 30, 40, 50. Like, you know, you can do it at any time. I think for me, finding the time, it's hard because since I'm always on the go for school, work, hobby, you know, like we've always mentioned, whenever I have my own free time, I feel like in order to relax, I have to just kind of lay there and do nothing, you know, like scroll on my phone, and that's how I relax. But it's not true. I think having to change your mindset to kind of wire yourself to think that the way you relax and de-stress is by doing this hobby, then that'll make you have even more time than you realize. Because it's like if you look through your day and you see how many times you have a free time but you went on your phone or you did something meaningless, it's like you start to notice that you actually have a ton of time for a new hobby.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it's just integrating that idea that this hobby is a form of self-care, and it's a form of me being able to relax and de-stress, and then that's how you end up doing it more. Like that's how I'm trying to do. That's how I'm trying to do for myself for reading, because like I said, like when I'm reading, I read a lot for school, and then when I get a break, I don't want to read again. But I'm trying to separate that from being, especially since I read more fiction, right?
Yeah, fiction is fake.
Yes.
F in fiction equals F in fake. That's how I remember it.
Okay. Yeah, so since I read a lot of fiction, it's a lot easier to kind of distinguish that. Even with nonfiction, I can be like, you know, it's something I'm interested in.
Oh, with nonfiction, it's definitely harder.
It is harder.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that's something I'm working on, is basically just trying to think of it as this hobby that I want to do is a way of de-stressing and relaxing. And so you'll kind of start to make yourself do it more often, and then you have time for it.
You really ate with that.
I know. I know.
What's preventing you from starting new hobbies? Somebody said, fear of not being good enough at them. Okay. So I can recognize that that is a limiting belief. And I think it's important that you kind of figure out where that mentality is coming from. Is it a lack of confidence, or is it something that you something that's influenced by like a family member or something? My first instinct is to say, how are you gonna know you're not good at it if you don't try it?
I think the way society works, it kind of engraves in us that you have to be a certain way to be considered good. I think any level of anything that you do is good, and there's never an end goal. It's always you're working towards something continuously. You're just getting better at it every time. You're not getting better at it to be a professional, because even when you're a quote unquote professional, you're still, again, always improving.
Yeah.
So it's never like a ending thing. And it's hard. It is hard to break out of that mindset, of course, when you're seeing like, for example, art. When I want to draw, I see like references on Instagram, and I'm like, I can't do that. But it doesn't mean I'm not good. It just means that, I haven't been practicing. I don't practice every day. So of course I'm not at that level yet. They've probably been drawing for like 10 years, you know? So it's just having to just do it. And it's kind of like you said, you never know until you start it.
But also, like, do you really have to be what society thinks is good in order to enjoy it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think as long as you just enjoy it, that's the whole point. That's good.
For me, I do feel like sometimes though, I have to kind of be good at an activity to enjoy it. But I also partially think that has a lot to do with like me comparing myself to others as well. Especially, oh my gosh, if this is an issue that you have at home where you feel like you're not good at something, like, sorry, get off of Instagram, because if it's a hobby that you like kind of see often on Instagram, oh my gosh, all of Instagram is fake. All of it is a persona. Did I say it?
Wow.
As soon as there's a camera put on someone, everyone always puts on a persona. Everything on Instagram is fake. And everything on Instagram is exaggerated. And don't compare yourselves to others, especially those who are quote unquote better than you.
Yeah.
If you want to start a new hobby, because then I feel like you're not even really doing that hobby for enjoyment.
Yeah.
You're doing it kind of to impress yourself or to impress others. And that can be your main goal, but I don't think it should if what you really want to do is just be happy with this new hobby. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Especially kind of going off to back to my point where you're trying to integrate this into being a way of relaxing and de-stressing. Like if you're focusing on getting better just to up someone else, that's not gonna de-stress you.
Maybe it's not even the right hobby for you if your main goal is to kind of I don't know, just be better than others. Yeah.
And I think it's always good to remember that everybody at some point started as a beginner.
Oh yeah. Archery, going back to archery, once again, the target was 5 feet away and oh my gosh, we could not shoot it. Yeah. I swear to God, I was aiming exactly how they were telling me to, and I couldn't do it. Oh my gosh, it was always in the black and the blue. And again, we got some golds after a 2-hour shooting session, but they did not move the target whatsoever. Yeah. So technically right now, we're bad at archery. But that's not the part you should look at. You should look at, am I enjoying it? We did enjoy it, even though we were bad. Yeah. And it's something we want to be better at. And
eventually you look back and you look at your improvements. I think a good point that when we were doing archery, one of the judges was like helping me. And I made a comment like, oh, like soon I'm going to get to the target. And she made a good point. She kind of put it into perspective for me and was like, it's okay. Like the target isn't the main goal right now. It's just trying to get your form correct and trying to get you right.
Ooh, that eats.
Yeah. And she said it's trying to get you to get your form correct and get you used to this so that once your form is good, everything else starts to come naturally. And I said, you're so right.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Oh my gosh.
I said, yeah, you're right.
The target isn't the main focus.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like
it's what she's saying. Yeah. It's the process. And the journey.
Exactly.
That should be your focus.
Because again, then you look back and you see how much you've improved. And then it was, even if it was a little bit of improvement, that's good. Improvement doesn't have to come super, super fast.
Yeah.
It might for some people, but it might not. And that's okay.
What's preventing you from starting new hobbies? Somebody said, both finding the time to try it and getting over the obstacle to actually start it. That, I feel like we discussed that before, where we mentioned that starting it is the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
And yes, there are a lot of barriers to starting new hobbies. Financial situations, self-doubt. There's a lot of barriers stopping you from starting new hobbies. But once again, once you actually start it, the rest of the way is so much easier.
I think that can also go into, I guess one of my worries is also just continuing it. Because you can sometimes, it could be easy to start it, or maybe hard to start it, and then you start it, but then it's hard to continue it. And I think it's also just helpful to go easy on yourself because it is something new and you are a busy person, even if you're not. Maybe, it's not something that's your priority right now. It's something you have to build into your routine and something you have to get used to making time for. So it's not going to come easy like improvement,
Yeah.
So it's having to, even if you start it and you do it once and then you don't get back to it until like 2 weeks later, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you failed. That means you're slowly working your way to get into it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, I have to practice drawing every day, like for a year for improvement. No, it can just be every time I have I have a 10-minute break between this class. Let me sketch something,
Yeah.
And then maybe I don't sketch something until like 3 days later, and that's okay. As long as I did something one day, that's enough achievement.
Yeah, that's something I've been struggling a lot with myself is like not patting my back for the good things that I'm doing and instead kind of just like shunning myself.
Like critiquing.
Yeah,
yourself.
critiquing myself too much for the stuff that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
Like I went to the gym yesterday, but before that I hadn't gone in 2 weeks because I'm just so busy and I sacrificed it for my other priorities. And yeah, I was like hating on myself because I wasn't going quite as often as I used to.
Yeah.
But I wasn't looking at the fact that I'm doing so many other good things right now.
Yeah.
With that time.
Yeah, I think it's also just really hard as specifically if you're a student. It's hard because you want to do stuff and you want to fit stuff into your schedule. And then when you feel like you failed at it, you're like, oh, I don't have time for any of this. I should like not start this. But it's okay to acknowledge that we are busy. We are trying to get a degree in a whole career, like a whole career field. And I think it helps me to think that once I graduate, I will have a lot more time to do things.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot more structured work schedule that'll help me implement like hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even with people who work a lot, like if you work a 9 to 5 too, it's hard to implement stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
but it's still making that effort.
Yeah, just don't be in a rush.
Yeah.
To fulfill these hobbies.
Yeah.
If it's something that will make you happy right now, I say go do it. I think all of our main priorities should be to constantly make ourselves happy if we can. Archery made me happy.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have for you guys today. New episodes come out every single Sunday on YouTube and Spotify. And you know what? I think I'm going to sign up for Apple Podcasts soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyways, every Wednesday, we will ask you guys a question on a certain topic that we will talk about in a future podcast. So if you want to stay involved, follow our Instagram. Otherwise, you can follow our Twitches if you want to see us game.
Yay.
Follow our vlog channels. I have a vlog channel. You're starting one soon.
Yeah. I technically have a channel up because I had posted a vlog.
Wow.
But then I deleted
Follow our
it.
vlog channels. Everything is in our link tree.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, we need to add that.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Peace out.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
This was Persona Vibe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.